You talked about the idea that, like, you know, it sometimes looks too choreographed. Do you think of Brock Lesnar, like, is he someone who is more kind of your style because his matches are treated a little bit more like fights?
I wish, if I could think of 5 guys I would love to have worked with, he'd be maybe up at the top, one of the guys I would have loved to work with, because I loved working with good workers. And my understanding of Brock Lesnar is, I don't know what kind of guy he is. I've had maybe a handful of words with him in my whole life. But my understanding is that Brock Lesnar is a real pro in the ring, and that he's actually really safe and protects the guys he works with, and totally the opposite of Goldberg. Daniel Bryan is a guy I love. I love his work. I wish I could have worked with him. I think my all-time favorite wrestler of the last 20 years since I retired, kind of thing, I think would be CM Punk. I thought he was the closest to me that I can think of, a guy that was an innovator. He thought of new stuff. He had fresh ideas. From what I understand, he was always safe, always a pro in the ring. And, when I think of my brother Owen, when he pile drove Steve Austin and broke his neck, or almost broke his neck at SummerSlam. And if you watch when he did that and Steve is hurt in the middle of the ring, and you see my brother Owen stop and work the crowd and stop and play to the audience, and he does everything but touch Steve. He doesn't touch Steve. He never lays a finger on him. He waits till the referee or Steve signals him that he's going to try, like he's okay, or he can try to do more. But you didn't see Owen, dropping an elbow on him or doing stuff to him, because he knew he was hurt. And, for example, when the Rockers injured that guy years and years ago, there was a guy they did some move on where they drove his head into the mat. I think it was his fault that he drove his head into the mat. The guy they were wrestling, he wasn't experienced enough, which is what happens when you wrestle TV. The guys they find for TV tapings, they're just guys that don't have the experience. And he drove his own head into the mat and broke his neck, and been in a wheelchair ever since, this guy. But he was lying in the ring with his neck broken. And what do Sean and Marty do? Like, Sean knows, Marty knows. It's like, hey, this guy he's hurt. What do we do? Well, all they cared about was finishing the match. And I think Sean flips him over from his stomach to his back, which you see his neck just rock like that. I don't know if you ever see it, but I think it's on YouTube somewhere. But totally not what he should have done. He should have protected the guy or even stopped the match. I mean, it's a broken neck, for crying out loud. And everyone's sort of aware of it. And Sean or Marty jumped off the top rope with their finishing move on the guy after he broke his neck. And it's like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, to me, it's like, it's so important to protect the guy you're working with. And even though he was not experienced, and it was probably his fault that he got hurt, you have to protect the guy. And they didn't do a very good job of it. If anything, you watch what they did, and that's totally what you don't do when somebody gets hurt. And then you watch what Owen did with Steve Austin, and you watch how Owen handled it, and that's exactly what you do when somebody gets hurt.